Hello guys and welcome. I am Ahmed Adel and this is Cost Engineering Professional. And in this video, we will give you an introduction to cost estimation in construction projects. If you guys like this content, please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, share, give us love, do everything guys so that we can continue doing this content. And with this, let's get into the video. Alright guys, welcome back. Now I want to explain a little bit about cost estimation. What is cost estimation, guys? Cost estimation in the simplest way is that we want to understand how much the project will cost us in general and how much the project will cost us in terms of materials, equipment, manpower, and subcontractor and others. So this is the simplest way to define the cost estimation. So here, if we look at the screen now, if you look at column C, this is the item description, and these are the different BOQ items, as you can see. And here is the unit, and here is the quantity. Up to here, this is a very normal BOQ as we know it. But in the normal BOQ, here, after the quantity, the rate will come, and when the rate multiplied by the quantity, you get the amount. But when we are doing a cost estimate, we need to have a little bit more details. And how is that? Now, our rate, usually in the BOQ, is just one rate inclusive of materials, equipment, manpower, subcontractor, and we have just one rate. But actually, any of these rates, guys, this is the cost rate here. Any of these rates has a breakdown. How much the material will cost, how much the equipment will cost, and how much the manpower will cost. And if there is any subcontractor included in the same item, how much the subcontractor will cost. So material plus equipment plus manpower plus subcontractor will give us the cost rate. And cost rate means how much this item will cost me in order to do it. And when we speak about cost, guys, there is more than one type of cost estimation or cost methodologies. Like there are conceptual cost estimation methodologies, and there is something called deterministic or definitive cost estimation. And what is the difference? Conceptual cost estimation is that when you refer to some historical data in order to estimate a new project, but it is not accurate, guys. It is just something conceptual. For example, there is some method called the end unit method. And what does that mean? For example, if I executed a hotel that has 1,000 rooms at the cost of 100 million, let's say. So 100 million. So now a hotel that had 1,000 rooms will cost 100 million. So how much is the cost per one room? This divided by this. It's the room will be about 100,000. So what if I have a new hotel that has 1,500 rooms? 1,500 rooms into the room price, so the new project will be about 150 million. This is called the end unit method, and this is a conceptual method. This is not a definitive or a deterministic method. It is not accurate, guys. It is just an understanding, okay, it will come up somewhere around this, maybe 50% more, maybe 50% less. Another example of this, a hospital. I did a hospital that has, let's say, 5,000 beds at the cost of, let's say, 500 million again. So how much each bed costed me? Again, 100,000. So if I will make a new hospital that will have only 4,500 beds, then this one into this one, so it will be around 450 million. So this is the end units, how many units and how much the project from the historical data cost me, and based on this knowledge I will do in 30 seconds an estimate. Of course, it's a conceptual estimate. There is another way of the conceptual estimate, a method called the physical units. And physical units means what? Let's say that I have a villa of 1,000 square meters, and the villa of 1,000 square meters costed me in the past 3 million. So per each square meter, 3 million divided by 1,000, so 1 square meter is 3,000 dirhams or dollars or whatever the currency you are using. So if I have 850 villa, the 850 will be multiplied by the 3000, which is the rate per square meter. So the new villa is 2.55 million. Again, this is something conceptual. We didn't go into the details to see what are the specifications of this villa and what is the specifications of this villa. If the requirements or specifications of the two projects are a little bit near, then these prices might be somewhere proper or near from the actual cost price. So all these methods are conceptual methods, and I just wanted to tell you what a conceptual method is. Now let's delete this and let's go to the other part, which is the deterministic or definitive estimate. The definitive estimate is a very accurate estimate, and actually it has 5 classes: class 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Class 5 is the lowest in the accuracy, and the class 1 is the highest in the accuracy. And what is the difference between each of these classes, starting from class 1 to class 5? Actually, the difference is the project definition. What are the available data or information about the project? Do we have all the drawings of the project? Did we get quotations for all the work packages in the project from the specialists or from the subcontractors who will do these things? So depending on the available information regarding the project, the accuracy or the class that we will use for a definitive estimate will be determined. So the most accurate class is class 1, where the available information is everything. I have everything available. I have drawings, I have specifications, I have soil report, I got quotations from subcontractors, I did everything. I have all the required information in order to derive a correct or a class 1 definitive estimate. So let me give you an example here. This is a definitive estimate because we have full scope. We have like quantified everything, and we have the quantities of each and every item. So now if I just put a very accurate rate here, okay, I will get a very accurate cost amount for this item, for example. So in order for me to put a very accurate rate here, what I will do, I want to know the breakdown. What are the things or the cost elements included in this rate? What are the cost elements included in this rate? And the cost elements will be material, equipment, manpower, and subcontractor. So I will be starting with, let's say here, these are the calculations of manpower, skilled and unskilled labors. I want to calculate how much is the cost per day and how many working hours per day and what is the cost per hour. This is the first element, guys. I want to understand each labor in my company, how much is he costing me per day and how much is he costing me per hour. And why I need this information? Because if I know how much he is costing me per day and what can he do per day, so I can get the rate per unit of measurement. For example, if this skilled labor here, mason, if he is costing me per day 117 and he can produce 25 square meters, for example, of any item. So each square meter in terms of manpower, how much is it costing me? I will say 117 divided by 25. I will pay to this labor 117 and he will give me 25 meters. So that means that this 117 did a job for me of 25 meters. So how much each meter of these 25 meters costed me? It costed me 4.68. And from this calculation sheet, for example, we have the categories of labor here. We have how much his basic salary, food, accommodation, if I am providing accommodation, if I am providing transportation. In some countries, there are some immigration or visa fees paid yearly or every 2 years. If there is a medical insurance, if as per his labor contract, I have to give him 1 month paid leave, for example. So how much is he costing me in terms of everything, salary plus food plus accommodation plus everything, how much this labor is costing me per month? and how many working days is he working per month. So when you divide the total cost of labor divided by the number of working days, you get how much is he costing you per day. And if he is working 8 hours per day, so when you divide the 92 divided by the number of hours, or the cost per day divided by the number of hours, you get the cost per hour. And I actually need these two columns to go to the next step, which is productivity. So here I have something called activity manpower cost. Let's say that I want to do a temporary site fencing around my plot or site or project. I want to do a temporary fencing. So for this temporary fencing, I need 2 carpenters and I need 8 helpers. And I know that these 10 people, I know that these 10 people can install like 50 linear meters of temporary fencing per day. So first of all, these 10 laborers, 2 carpenter and 8 helpers, how much they will cost me per day? 2 of them, the carpenter will cost me per day as per these calculations here. This is the carpenter, for example. We calculated his salary and his everything. And the cost per day is 112. So this cost per day will come here, 112. And the helper similarly is costing me 92. So I need 2 carpenters into 112. It will be 224. And 8 laborers into 92 per day, it will be 737. So this plus this is 962. These 10 laborers will cost me as a company per day 962 or 963. Okay, this is how much they will cost me. But what can they give me in return? Like which work they can do in one day? They can, this is called here the productivity. They can install a temporary fencing 50 linear meters per day. That means that each cost per unit is how much they will cost me and which quantity they can do per day. So this divided by this. So I will see that each linear meter in terms of manpower is costing me 19.25. Okay. So here, when I come to my BOQ, I have this item, which is temporary site fencing. And how many linear meters I have? I have 150 linear meters of temporary site fencing. Okay. So in terms of manpower, okay, for these 150 meters, in terms of manpower, each meter, how much it will cost me for the installation, I just calculated this here, which is 19.25 cost per unit, like 19.25 per linear meter. So if I want to install 150 linear meters multiplied by 19.25, this is the amount. So in terms of manpower to install the site fencing, I need 2,887. Okay. What about the materials itself? Guys, if I want to install a temporary site fencing, I have to buy it. Because the quantity is 150 linear meters, so I need to buy 150 linear meters of temporary site fencing. Okay, but when I go to the seller or to the vendor or to the supplier and I say, I want a temporary site fencing, how much per linear meter? He will give me a quotation, or he will give me a proposal of 75 dirhams or dollars or whatever currency per linear meter. So this is the cost of the materials. So in order to do a temporary site fencing, 150 linear meters, I need to buy each linear meter. I'll buy the materials by 75, let's say whatever currency, and I will install each linear meter by 19.25. Okay, so this is regarding the materials. And again here for the materials, when I multiply the supply rate, when multiplied by the quantity, it gives the amount. Then for the manpower, when I multiply the 19.25 by the quantity, again, it gives the amount. So I'll buy this fence by the 150 meters will cost me as a material 11,250, and the installation or the manpower will be 2,888. But these laborers who will do the installation of these materials, they need some equipments. They need maybe some hammers or some nails or something like that. Guys, I know that everyone wants to be very accurate or as much accurate as you can be, but still there is a limit that you cannot go beyond. Like here, how I will know in terms of equipment or tools how much each linear meter of this temporary site fencing will cost me? I have no idea. Of course, it is something very hard to estimate. So in that case, we do something that called allowance. You allow for doing this part of the work or for this thing. Like here, when we talk about the tools or equipments required, I am allowing 2 dirhams or $2 for each linear meter of the temporary site fencing. So when I multiply the 2 multiplied by the quantity, which is 150, the amount is 300. So I am allowing an amount of 300 currency for the purchase or for the tools or for the equipments to be used to install this temporary site fencing. So we spoke about material, we spoke about equipment or tools, we spoke about manpower. Now, subcontractor. Subcontractor is when you go and you outsource part of the works. Like if you are a contracting company, if you are a main contractor, you will do some of the activities, you will do them in-house, and some of the activities you will sublet or subcontract them to other companies to do it. So for example, here, when I am doing the estimation, there is something called the basis of estimate. And this is simply a list of assumptions that you have done in order to derive your estimate from. So my assumption here that I am going to do the excavation and backfilling by a subcontractor. I'll just go hire one guy who has some trucks, who has some excavators, and I'll give him per cubic meter of excavation and backfilling. And this price should be obtained from the market via vendor or subcontractor quotation. You will approach the subcontractor. Hi, I have a project and I have about 800 cubic meters of excavation and 770 cubic meters of backfilling. Please give me your price. He will tell you, all right, per cubic meter of excavation 6 and backfilling 6 as well. So that means when I multiply the 6 by the quantity, it gives this amount for the excavation and this amount for the backfilling. And if the item requires you as a company to provide any tools or equipments or any manpower or any materials to help this subcontractor to do his job, you have to put these things here. But in this case, or in the case of these two items, I don't need anything. He will just come, he will excavate, he will dispose, he will do everything. I don't have to help him with any means. So if we go to the BOQ divisions, which we have here, prelims, then site works and concrete works, and then we have again superstructure works, block work, thermal and moisture, finishes, and all of that. Now, if you can see, guys, all these BOQ items, I for each and every item, I put here how much the material of this item will cost me. So when the material rate multiplied by the quantity, it will give me the amount of materials required for this item. So if I take a submission here, guys, I understand that for the preliminaries of the project, for example, in terms of materials, I need 57,000. And equipment, I need 22,000. And manpower, I need 35,000. And subcontractor, I need 15,000 to do some part of the work. That means that the prelims will cost me 138,000. And what is the breakdown of the 138? It is these four numbers. How much is materials, equipment and tools, manpower, and subcontractor? So when you do that for the full project, for each and every item, you see how much is the material, how much is the equipment, how much is the manpower, how much is the subcontractor. You do this for all the BOQ divisions, and then when you go to the summary, instead of having for each BOQ division, instead of having only one total, you will have 4 totals. Like for each BOQ division, how much the material will cost, how much the equipment will cost, how much the manpower will cost, and how much the subcontractor will cost. So for the full project, for my everything, for the overall project, how much will be the cost of materials? It will be here in this project like 771,000. And how much the equipment will cost? 66,000. And how much the manpower will cost? 305,000. And how much the subcontractor will cost? About 1 million. And that means that I am subcontracting almost half of the project, because the full project cost in terms of direct cost, which is material, equipment, manpower, subcontractor, these are the direct costs, are the costs that are going directly to be spent on the items or on the works at the site, at the project. These are the direct costs. So I am having these four numbers, and my direct cost is about 2.2 million here. So now I will come to something called allowances. What are the allowances? Now I have this much, I have 770,000 materials. And actually, in order to derive these numbers, I have like assumed the wastage, and I have assumed and I have considered so many factors. But again, here I am saying that, okay, maybe these materials, it requires some, let's say, shifting or some kind of service that I have not considered here. So I'll allow for 2% of the 770 more as an allowance for something, guys, like for the material shifting, if I haven't like accounted for the shifting or something like that. Now let's talk about, for example, the manpower. I have here manpower of 305,000. So I have not considered any idle manpower, or sometimes I'll send 2-3 laborers or 5 laborers or 10 laborers to the project, and they will not have anything to do due to any restrictions or anything happening at the site. So in that case, I am losing in that day, because I will pay the laborers in that day and they will not work. So I am just assuming here that, or I am allowing for 5% extra on top of what I have already considered as money that I will pay to the manpower due to idle times or all these things. For subcontractors, for example, I am adding to whatever cost I am arriving based on the subcontractor quotations, I am adding 3% here, or I am allowing for 3% more for any services that will be required by me as a main contractor towards these subcontractors to help them execute or continue their job. Guys, that's why it is called cost estimation. I am not calculating anything here. I am estimating. And even it's me who estimated this project. If I want to estimate this project one more time, I'll end up with different numbers. The numbers will not be same. Maybe the difference will be very slight, but still. So imagine if two people are doing cost estimation for the same project. Definitely or 100% sure they will not arrive the same exact figure, because each of these two estimators is having his assumptions, he is having his price list, he is having some understanding about the labor productivity. I might say that one mason will do 10 meters per day, and some other estimator will say no, one mason will do minimum 12 meters per day. So our prices will be different, but we will be like arriving something around this or near, like more or less. But in the end, our both estimates are not wrong. It's both correct. But what I want to tell you, you will say you just go like that and you throw a 3% on top of this, or you go here and you throw a 5% on top of this. Guys, that's why it is called the estimation. We are not calculating, we are not accounting, we are estimating. I am estimating. That's why it is called cost estimation, guys. Okay, so after I have made these allowances, these percentages on top of each one of them, so I am getting here total cost, BOQ including allowances. The 770 will be 787. See, guys, it is very slight differences, but it might cover me in case something happens that I have not accounted for. Now, let's come to the site supervision. I've noticed that in my BOQ here, there was no any item in the preliminaries for the site supervision. So what I did, I came here and I assumed that there will be a foreman and his salary is this much. So he will be at the site 100% of the time. He is there full time. So his salary multiplied by the duration of the project, and this will give me how much this foreman will cost me. And this cost has to be loaded on this project because this foreman will work full time on this project. But if I need some help from the technical engineer who is sitting in my office, he will do some shop drawing or he will do something to serve the execution of this project. I cannot charge his full salary to this project only because he is not working only on this project. He is working maybe on this project and 2, 3, 4 other similar projects. He is working on them at the same time. So these two, the foreman and the engineer, the foreman, for example, here I am assuming that he will work full time on this project, and I am assuming that the engineer will have 5 similar projects similar to this one. He will be supervising all of them at the same time. But each one of these 5 projects will have its own foreman who will be there full time. So for the 5 projects, in each project, a foreman will be there full time, and the engineer will be like 1/5 of his time in each of these projects. He will supervise 5 projects at the same time with the help of a foreman in each project who will be there full time. Now let's come and talk about the margins. The margins here, there is something called the overheads, guys, which I just told you. Now, the rent of my office or the salary of the accountant who is working in my head office, okay, or the electricity and telephone and all these utility bills for my head office. Which project will bear these costs? I have 5 projects or 6 projects. All of them, guys, should bear the cost of having a head office or having something that indirectly affecting the cost of my project. So how to calculate this? Let's say that I have a company, I am a main contractor, and I have 4 projects. The first one is 2,500,000, and the next one is 3 million, and I have a project of 2 million, and I have another project of 3,500,000. So my total projects is 11 million, okay? And let's say that I have a monthly spend of, let's say, 50,000 per month, okay? And the duration of each of these projects is 14 months. So as I am executing these 4 projects or these 4 jobs at the site, as I am executing them at the site, my office is running. And how much I am paying? I am paying 50,000 into 14. So in the 14 month that I will execute these projects, I'll be spending indirectly an amount of 700,000. So this 700,000, these projects should bear it. And which of them will bear more of the 700,000? I have to understand the percentage of each of them. Like the first one is 23% here. Like now in terms of value, let's say, okay, this project is 23% of my total company work. This project is 27%. This project is 18%. This project is 32%. So this is the biggest project. He will bear the biggest amount or the biggest portion from this indirect cost or these overheads. So if I come here and I'll say equal to the percentage into this. So this project should bear as an overhead an amount of 159 in 14 months. So if you can see here, for this project, I have considered a percentage from the cost that I calculated for this project to cover me here. If you can see here, I'm considering something like 141, and here you see, guys, a project similar to this one, because you see 2,000 almost 400 or 2,700, and this project is 2,700,000, and this project is 2,500,000, almost same, guys. So I'm assuming a percentage of the cost that will cover this amount, because this project should bear from my 14-month expenses. It should carry, or I should load an amount of 159,000 in here to pay for whatever I am doing in my head office to serve my jobs or my projects to run. And this is the definition of overheads. And this is how we calculate the overheads. Usually nobody is doing that, guys, but I did this just to show you how it is done. But sometimes, or most of the time, they calculate the overhead something from 6 to 12%. It depends on how many engineers you have in your head office, how many draftmen, how many office boys, accountants, and secretaries, and all these people who are not directly loaded on one of your company projects. Now, contingencies. Contingencies are the things that I have not thought of, like if there is any risk that I have, because the risk is unplanned event, like it's something that you cannot predict. So if I can predict something, if you remember, guys, when I spoke to you about the allowances, I am predicting that my manpower will be sometimes idle. That's why I put here 5%. But the contingency, what is the difference between the contingency and the allowance? Allowance is something that I am assuming or I am predicting. I am seeing it coming. So that's why I've allowed for 5% here. But what about the events that I am not foreseeing, the events that I don't know they will come or no? I'm keeping here 2.5% like as, let's say, risk margin, or for whatever things that I have not allowed for, or something I have missed here and there, because as I told you guys, it's just an estimation. Okay, what about the profit? I am assuming here 8% from this cost as a profit. So overheads plus contingencies plus profit, this is my overall margin, which is 16.5. So when this cost, okay, including the supervision, the allowances, and everything else that I have priced inside, if my cost is 2.3, when I add the 16.5%, I will arrive a selling price, this is the price that I'll give to my client. I will say to my client, hi, this project will cost you 2.746. And if he tries to negotiate me, or if he tries to get a discount from me, the first area I will visit is these margins. If I have a high profit margin, maybe the market is very competitive, I cannot. So if I'm thinking of giving him a discount, I will give a discount from these percentages. But up to here, up to the 2.3, this is the calculated cost. I am assuming that the cost of this, or I estimated the cost of this project to be 2.35 million. If he comes and he say, no, this 2.75 price is not accepted, I'll give you only 2.35. In that case, it is up to you. You can take a project at the cost, but actually in that case, you will be losing. Why? Because you will be running your office, as we discussed here, and your office needs from you, from this project, 160,000 almost per month, and you have not calculated that. So it cannot be done. It cannot be done unless there is something like you have estimated here inside that is very high, that needs to be reduced, so it can reduce this value. But if I am sure that everything here is okay and all these things are logical, the allowances and the supervision and everything, my overhead is there, then it is only the profit margin that I can reduce. And instead of 8%, maybe I'll put 7, maybe I'll put 6, and let's see. So guys, the cost estimation is a huge world, and you can understand all these concepts and all these like methodologies and all these numbers. You can understand them if you practice by yourself. You need to like quantify one project and then start doing the rate breakdown analysis, start asking the vendors and the subcontractors for their prices, because we live in different countries. If something is costing me here some amount, it will cost you a different amount, but the concept, guys, will be always same. Now, I don't like promoting my courses and everything, but in the description, you will find a link to our course where we have like quantified a similar project. In that course we have explained in details how to get these quantities and how to prepare a BOQ from scratch. And until the moment that I am filming this video at, until this moment, we have not released the cost estimation course yet. But once it is released, I'll go to the description of this video and I'll update also the description, and I will add the link to the cost estimation course as well, so that if you need to see like in details or step by step what are all these numbers and how to do that and what to assume and what to just allow and where to allow and what all these things, guys, will be there in details. And in the end, if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe, turn on notification, like, share, love, all these things. You know better now. And with this, guys, I'll definitely see you in the next video.